EAGLES, Eagles.
Birds 365 on a Tuesday night as the Eagles get back to work today. Krause in for Zander Krause, along with John McMullen, joining us for the next 2 hours as we're going to talk about the Eagles going back to work today. Thanks, everyone, for being here. I'm going to do my best, Johnny Mac, to try and live up to the expectation of Zander and John McMullen. And I'm sure, should I fail, I'm sure that all of the subscribers and all of those great people in the chat are going to let me know about it.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll hear about it. That's the one thing I know about the fans. They're going to let you hear about it. Let me know if there's any. I'm having some trouble with my audio on my end, so let me know if it's coming through okay. But
yeah, audio's coming through fine, at least for me now. So we'll keep an eye on it as we roll along here on Birds 365. Thanks, everyone, for being with us. As I mentioned, Johnny Mac, when we came on the air, the Eagles went back to work today after a day off following the sellout crowd down at Lincoln Financial Field for the Sunday open practice.
Yeah, I don't know how that was a sellout, by the way.
Yeah, the upstairs.
What are we doing here? What are we doing?
Yeah, so it was like my old days at the Soul. You know, you had 13,000 people in the building, but 17,467 was the announcement at the Wells Fargo Center.
Yeah. Well, you know, hey, if you get rid of the tickets, but my perspective from that is they claim they sold out with 60,000 tickets. Well, Lincoln Financial Field obviously holds more than 60,000. So I don't know where. I don't know. It's impressive enough. Why do you have to exaggerate? But anyway, Krause gets to hear my pet peeve right off. It's like, what are we doing? The whole upper deck is not filled. Can't call it a sellout. But it was.
John, here's the way it works in the ticket world. If they're off the system, but not in the building.
No, I get turnstile count. I get turnstile count because a lot of people, especially when it's for charity, a lot of people may not show up and they just want to give to the charity. So I know I'm very familiar with turnstile count and that kind of thing where the people at the building are not going to match the tickets sold. Hey, Lincoln Financial Field, the listed capacity is well over 70,000. So you can't say 60,000. That doesn't match up. Anyway,
it certainly made for a good headline, and the national media loved talking about it. And of course, it was all over social media. So we'll call it, for lack of a better description, we'll call it a sellout for the.
I will not. You can. I will not. I will not.
John, you'll appreciate this. A little bit of WWE. How about this?
Yeah.
A capacity crowd.
Yeah. As long as you don't say sold out. Yeah.
All right. I can live with that. Back to work today, 57-minute practice today. I figured the first hour of the 2-hour show here on Birds 365, we'd spend the first hour talking about the 57 minutes of practice today. There's a lot to consume from within that 57 minutes, but let's start. Let me get you to give they don't want to hear me. They want to hear from you. Let me get you to recap the practice today as it unfolded in front of you.
Yeah, very short practice. As you mentioned, only 157 minutes, which is by far the shortest practice of the summer. Obviously, Cleveland's coming in tomorrow. So joint practices Wednesday and Thursday with the Cleveland Browns. So knew it was going to be a light practice. Didn't think it was going to be that short, but didn't get to an hour. There were still some interesting developments, most notably, shouldn't be a surprise with Landon Dickerson out for a short-term period, hopefully. Brett Toth started the practice at left guard with the first team. He had been filling in for Landon Dickerson when he was banged up before, so that's the way that we're doing it now. If Landon was out for an extended period, I think they make some changes, potentially move Tyler Steen to left guard, insert Matt Pryor, things like that. Affect two different spots if you have to, for a long term. But because this is short term, I think they're comfortable with just persevering through it, certainly in the preseason with Brett. The interesting part is the second team left guard was Darian Kennard. Now, that's interesting because in the first 12 practices, he had been strictly on the right side, right guard and right tackle. So that was the first time he got reps on the left side. And I think if Landon Dickerson is not ready for week 1, which is possible, going to be back early in the season, but not necessarily by week 1. That's the hope. But if he's not back, then keep an eye on Darian Kennard, because by them moving him over to the left side, that's an indication that they want to ramp him up pretty quickly in case they need him early in the season. So that's number one. Defensively, I think I wasn't expecting to see Drew Makuba get the first rep at safety. That's the first time he's done that since day 2 of training camp. So it's been a long time. Missed 6 practices, not total because he was back for individuals for a couple of them, but 6 consecutive practices of team drills, which is a pretty significant amount, and also missed the preseason game, obviously. So looked like he had taken a big step back. Sidney Brown was grabbing hold of the job, and all of a sudden we show up today and Drew Makuba's back in there. Now, by play,
how did that play out, John? Makuba was in. He was in and out. He was in for an extended period of time. How did his rotation happen on with the first team?
No, well, yeah, that's what I was about to say. By play 3, Sidney was in, so it wasn't extended. That they rotated a lot. It was very, as I said, quick practice. So not necessarily a sea change or ominous for Sidney, but it's certainly notable in the fact that there's still time wherever we are, August 12th. There's still time to get back in this race or competition for Drew Makuba. And I always say, the Eagles probably want Drew Makuba to win the job. They probably want Kaylee Ringo to win the cornerback job, Jihad Campbell, linebacker. And when you want something, I always compare it to programming the GPS. If you program the GPS is eventually going to take you to where you programmed. So, when you have that mindset of wanting to get somebody up to speed, I think it plays into things.
Where are you, John, on Makuba? Where are you personally on his skill set when you watch him on the football field? I almost feel as though, and this goes back to when he was taken, and I remember getting crushed or killed on a 2-minute drill analysis that I put together on Makuba. Where are you? Do you like him? Should he be there? Is he a project? Where is he in your assessment?
Well, I'll defer to what Vic said, which was basically, well, he hasn't played. He hasn't, and that was a couple of days ago. He's been back at practice, but we haven't seen enough of him. There was a significant portion that he missed. He's a good athlete, good coverage player. He's got some size deficiencies. Dallas Goedert has kind of beat him up a little bit in the middle of the field from a size perspective. So, he's the 64th overall pick. He's not the 6th pick. There's going to be a ramp up period. But, Vic generally wants coverage safeties, and he can cover. If he can hold up in run support and the other aspects of it, I think he'll be fine, but that's a big question mark.
Before we move on, also with anybody else who maybe didn't practice today, and we'll get a complete rundown. By the way, just so everybody does get it, all good. Everything's all good with Zander. There's, I don't want anyone to have any concern. There's there's an old rule in the Krause house, Johnny Mac. Handle your business, or your business will handle you. And Zander had some business to take care of, but all good. He'll be right back here tomorrow. So I didn't want anybody to have any initial concerns that there was anything wrong there with Z-Bone. So all good there. Stay on Landon Dickerson for a moment, Johnny Mac. If the projection for Landon is a hope that he's ready to go for the Thursday night opener with Dallas, one, how realistic is that? Meaning, if he's going to go on that Thursday night, he's back to work. How much of a runway does he need to get ready to be ready to go on that Thursday night? And then that's where the question comes up. Is it realistic to expect? Because I imagine that runway is within a couple of weeks. Is it realistic for us or for anyone to expect that he can get that work in before that Thursday night game?
Well, I don't think, I think Landon's at the point of his career where he doesn't really need a large ramp up period, but I do think it's a little bit optimistic because of the timing. I would more guess week 2 or week 3 for Landon. But that's just, just from the stand. If anybody can do it, it's Landon, because that's another thing. I think the Eagles need to be a little bit more cautious with Landon Dickerson than they typically have been. These knee injuries are starting to pile up. He's had the torn ACLs in college, one in Florida State, one in Alabama. Had off-season surgery last year. I played through the Super Bowl. Probably shouldn't have been playing. Now he's having surgery again on his right knee. And they're trimming the meniscus, not fully repairing it, which, again, if this were a skill position player, they're probably doing the full repair, and he's going to be out for a significant period. But offensive linemen can sort of bite through it. So if I were the Eagles, I'd be pretty cautious. And I certainly wouldn't be hurrying to get him back for week 1. But if you're going to let Landon play through it, he's going to play through it. I often say, if you were going to grade the Eagles in toughness, he'd be number 1. I don't think there's any doubt about it. He plays through everything. Like I said, he shouldn't have played in the NFC Championship game last year. He did. Had to sit out the second half. Shouldn't have played in the Super Bowl. He did. He made it through 60 minutes. Didn't play up to his usual standard, but he made it through the game. If you give him the opportunity, he's going to play. And I don't know if that's the best thing for the Eagles in week 1. Like the Super Bowl, you can say, all right, all hands on deck. Week 1, I personally, I wouldn't push it.
How about this? Week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and get him into the into what is not the second half of the season, but certainly get him further down the schedule and allow him to be ready for the second half of the season. I don't know whether that's a risk or not. I just don't see the value, especially based on the fact that he is prone and he has had knee issues. To bring him or rush him back, or do you think it's a necessity? They got to get him in there.
Yeah, no, I certainly don't think it's a necessity early in the season. You never want to lose a great player, but I think you can persevere early in the season. That's kind of my point. And it's not, you don't have to put him on IR and miss 4 games. It's, it's should be about a month. So you're talking 1, maybe 2 games at the most, and then he should be back. But, I talk about this with Zander all the time. Everybody gets so hyper-focused on week 1. Like, Drew Makuba's got to be a starter week 1. Jahad Campbell's got to be a start. Why? Went through this last year with Cooper DeJean.
Right.
He didn't play for the first month. He didn't play till week 6. Then they had a bye week. Then he played. And he turned into one of the best rookie defenders in the NFL. And, oh, by the way, the Eagles won the Super Bowl. I'm not pushing guys just because it's week 1. Especially this team. But, if he's healthy, he's healthy. If he's ready to go, he's ready to go. I wouldn't push it. That's for sure.
How about Kenyon Green, John?
Oh, well, he's not healthy either. He's going to be out for the entirety of the preseason. So, and he wasn't playing well before he got injured. So, I think he's more likely to start the season on injured reserve or even potentially be cut than be relevant in starting position on week 1.
So what does it look like? Landon's out. Tell me what it looks like for the opener.
My guess is if Landon doesn't play, Darian Kennard would be the starter at left guard. Again, he's got to show he can play on the left side. He's got 19, 20 days to do it or so. If he doesn't play well in practice, if he doesn't play well, the next 2 days are very important with Cleveland. If he doesn't play well, they might just ditch it and keep Brett Toth there, who can at least handle the position. But I think I think Darian Kennard's got a higher upside. The question is, can he play on the left side? And we're going to see in the coming weeks. But look, you're not going to replace Landon Dickerson with a similar player. You're just trying to persevere like last year when Jordan Mailata was out for 4 weeks and they were able to persevere with Brett Johnson. That's what you're looking for. And I think Darian Kennard could provide that for the Eagles in a short span of games.
Birds 365 here across the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We appreciate everyone being here for a special Tuesday night edition of Birds 365. Krause in for Z Krause here tonight. He'll be right back with everyone tomorrow. As soon as I figure out how to put up the comments and stuff, I'll get some comments up onto the screen. Johnny Mac, who else from practice today didn't practice or was limited in their participation?
The guys who didn't practice, besides Landon, who we mentioned, and Kenyon Green, who was out with a shoulder. Elijah Cooks continues to be out. The wide receiver's got a shoulder as well. Gabe Hall, who's injured with a shoulder. A lot of shoulders. Shoulder, and then knee for Landon Dickerson. So only 4 guys didn't practice. Zach Bond continues to be limited. A.J. Brown continues to be limited. They're not working in team drills. Montrell Johnson, who's a undrafted rookie running back, was back. He had missed a few practices. He was back in a limited fashion. He's dealing with a hamstring. And Byron Young, who's a backup defensive tackle, had missed a few practices, and he was back in a limited fashion with a groin. So pretty healthy. And the Eagles are just being extra cautious with AJ and Zach. They're fine. I know people are worried about it, but they're fine. They're just being very, very cautious.
Dirty D checks in. Do they slide Steen to left guard and put Pryor in.
No, I think they would do that. But I've said that's probably what they do if Landon was out for an extended period. I think they'd make that move. But because they only expect him to potentially only miss the preseason, they're not going to make that move, or even a game or two. If Stout doesn't have to move multiple parts, he doesn't like to do it. Sometimes you have to. And again, if Landon was out for the season, if that went horribly, I think they make that move. I think they move Tyler to left guard and put Matt Pryor at right guard. For the short term, 1-2 games, I don't think they want that upheaval. And then when Landon comes back, then Steen's got to go back to right. They want Steen to get all those right guard reps, because that's going to be his long-term position. They don't want to take that away for a short period and then say, "Oh, go back to right guard."
Johnny Mac, is there, and excuse the ignorance of this question, is there a chance, I guess there's always a chance, or a possibility that Landon's injury or his recovery takes a lot longer than the Eagles are putting out there?
No, I don't think so, because, trimming meniscus tears, there's a long history of guys who've had it done, and it's a far shorter process, a far shorter rehabilitation time, but there's issues. It's probably not the best thing to do if you're just doing it for your long-term health. And it's a quick fix, but he'll be back. He'll be back in a short period. Now, again, there's partial tears. There's full tears. If it were a full tear, I would imagine they would have shut him down, said you need to get it repaired. And it would have been, 3-4 months, most of the regular season. Maybe you could get back for the playoffs. So my guess is it's a partial tear, and they felt comfortable doing the trim rather than the full repair. Again, if it were skill position,
I don't even know what that means. What a trim means? What? I mean, I know I just went through this. My daughter tore her ACL and she tore her meniscus, so she went through the full ACL and the meniscus surgery, and she's still involved in that long stretch run of rehab. She's 6 months into the process, or however long it means. What is the trim? What does that mean? What are they doing to it?
It's basically, where the orthopedist removes the damaged portion of the meniscus to relieve pain and improve function. So it's called a partial, and I don't want to, meniscectomy, not a full, which is the full repair, which takes far longer. So basically, they're just removing the damaged portion to relieve the pain and improve the function so you can play. Short-term fix rather than long-term fix. And again, if it were a skill position player, probably not doing it. Offensive linemen, they don't, need the incredible explosion, things like that. From the standpoint of, speed and that types of things. So with offensive linemen, you can get away with it. So basically that's the difference between a trim, and you'll hear it. Meniscus is not a uncommon injury with NFL players, and that's always the debate. Should you trim it and play, or get the full repair and you're not going to play? It's basically what it comes down to. J.J. McCarthy last year, rookie quarterback, became the first rookie quarterback to miss his first round rookie quarterback to miss his entire rookie season. That was the debate. trim it or get a full repair. For a quarterback, they erred on the side of caution and got the full repair. Missed the whole season. That's the difference.
Talk about the offense today, Johnny Mack, and specifically Jalen Hurts. Did you see a lot from Jalen? I kind of feel as though, from what I hear, from what I read, from what I see on X, and occasionally get texted over to me, Jalen's kind of been good at some practices. He's been off in other practices. How was Jalen Hurts back at work today?
Well, today, like I said, I'm going to say this a lot. It was 57 minutes. There wasn't a lot going on. It was sort of a reboot day. That players had the day off after the link practice on Monday, and they have Cleveland coming in on Wednesday. So today was sort of just, making sure you're ready for Cleveland. The next 2 days are going to be very, very important. As far as getting your work done, working on the stuff you want to work on from the coaching staff's perspective. They're going to be much longer practices, hour 45, 2 hours, somewhere in that range. This was sort of just no pads were on today. This was sort of just a ramp up for what's going to go on tomorrow and Thursday. But I think Jalen's had a pretty good camp. I think he's had his best camp as a pro, as a matter of fact. And I think it's part of just learning how to practice and doing different things. And, I say to Zander all the time, I think a lot of people don't understand practice. I think way too many people, and I'm criticizing my own profession, try to evaluate it like it's a game. It's not a game. They're working on different things. JJ Watt explained it on social media earlier this summer when he was like, sometimes you're doing a period where you're just working on one specific thing. Maybe you're struggling with. It could be from a defensive perspective. It could be the bull rush. It could be the speed rush. And you're just working on one specific thing. For the offense, there are certain days especially early in camp, they're installing the underneath game. So early in camp, there was a lot of dump offs and throwing it to the backs and flats. And we're all saying, why aren't they pushing the football down the field? Because they're not working on it. They're working on something else. And then they started working on more of the intermediate and deep game. And then there's no more 95% completion percentages. What's wrong?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the whole mindset of practice is misunderstood a lot of times. And it's about working on different things in different periods. And I don't think the value of training camp stats or training camp touchdowns or completion percent, I don't think it's very valuable, to be honest, because you have to understand what is trying to be accomplished in a particular drill or a particular period.
Yeah, I don't care about stats. There is the eyeball test, and I think for a guy like you who has had the opportunity to watch and evaluate and compartmentalize, Jalen's years since he was drafted. And in that last compartment, let's call it the last 2 years or let's just call it the last 2 years, going into this being that third year. So what are you seeing when you look at him? I know his confidence. I know his swagger. I know he never He's very even keel and all of that. But in the John McMullen eyeball, what are you seeing today from Jalen? And are you seeing anything that's better, or was last year the pinnacle of who he's going to be?
Well, no, well, first of all, I don't think he even came close to his best season last year. He had his best results. I think his best season by far remains 2022. And then I think he was better in 2023, and then he can debate 2024 versus 2021 when he was a first-year starter. Yeah, I think he's had his best spring and summer as a practice player. I think he's much more comfortable. I think he's going to have a much better season than he had last year. Much better. I think it's going to return back to the 2022 version more of. Doesn't mean you're going to win the Super Bowl. I think people conflate that with, it is very possible that he's going to play better individually and they're not going to win the Super Bowl. And I think that's hard for a lot of people to wrap their heads around, because it's a team game. It's, the ultimate team game, as Nick Sirianni calls it. So you got the result you wanted, but I think that that kind of hid some of the struggles along the way. We do this show every day. There were a lot of games where like, what the hell is wrong with this offense? That they were struggling during the regular season, not from a running perspective, but from a passing perspective. So by no means do I think last season was the pinnacle for Jalen Hurts. I think he took a step back, but the result of the team obviously was the pinnacle and they won the Super Bowl. But individually, no, he played much better in 2022 when he was runner-up to be the MVP.
What do we want, John? Do we want a duplicate of a year ago, which was the end result of the Lombardi Trophy? Or do we want, a better version of Jalen Hurts? More yards, more pass completions, more touchdowns. What do we want?
Well, I would assume you'd have to ask the fans. I assume they want to win the Super Bowl. What I think gets conflated, and I have this discussion all the time, is there are other people trying to win the Super Bowl with you. I mean, to repeat last season, well, then you need Saquon Barkley to run for 2,500 yards again. You need the number one ranked defense playing at a historical level in the Super Bowl itself. Is that likely to happen? Probably not. So to reach the same goal, you're probably going to need more from that aspect than you got last year to make up with some of the deficiencies you're going to have in the other aspects. Are you going to have that number one defense this year after losing Milton Williams and Josh Sweat and Darius Slay and CJ and Nakobe Dean being injured and on and on and on? Be a hell of a trick. So you can't just replicate last year. And, the Eagles, to their credit, said pretty consistently, whether it was AJ Brown got a lot of crap for it, but, for everybody from AJ to Devontae to Lane Johnson to Jordan Mailata to Jalen Hurts himself during the regular season would often say, yeah, we got to improve this. So I don't know. A lot of people have a problem saying that. They don't have a problem saying it. They got to improve the passing game. And that's what they're working to do. And I think they are going to improve it.
Nate the God, J-Mac, Izzo, the Eagles have maximized talent around Jalen. So do you think we've seen or has he reached his ceiling because this much talent won't be here for long? I think
Well, I don't think last year was a ceiling. I think it's abundantly clear it wasn't his ceiling. Like, again, 2022, he was the runner-up to be the MVP of the league. Deservedly so. He outplayed Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. That was his ceiling. That was his ceiling to this point. Can he get back to it? I don't know. Can he get closer to it? Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let me just ask the question again, just so I know where you are on it. I don't know how to answer it. Is it better for Jalen to be the same or similar to his Super Bowl year? And you could, and Dan Sileo on the National Football Show has this argument with everybody all the time. Or is it better? Should we demand or expect Jalen to be a better quarterback?
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong. Everybody from, Tom Brady on down, Peyton Manning, whoever you want to cite, his goal and strive to improve. So even if you're at the highest level, everybody's trying to improve because nobody's perfect. So nobody's mindset is stay the same. Every cliche in football is get 1% better, get 1% better, yada, yada, yada. Nobody's goal is to stay the same. And yeah, from an individual standpoint, in the ultimate team game, he regressed last season from where he was previously. So no, the goal is not stay the same. The goal is to get better. That doesn't mean the defense can get better. Doesn't mean Saquon Barkley can run for 2,506 yards. That might be impossible. So, the assumption for me, it's pretty easy. For others, it seems difficult. The assumption that an individual can play better and not have the same team result, I don't know why that's hard for people to understand.
Well, let me ask you this, and then we'll move on. If the defense is going to struggle more so than a year ago when they were the number one defense, so how much did they struggle? But if the defense, because of the players that they've lost, is going to be different, how much more, Johnny Mac, of the burden does the offense need to carry to compensate for the D?
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
You don't have to go back too far. You just got to go back to 2023. The only difference between the Eagles' 2023 offense and their 2024 offense was the defense. In 2024, they had the number one ranked defense in the NFL. In 2023, I forget where they ended up. They were like 26th or 27th. They were 31st or 32nd passing defense, near the bottom of almost completely at the bottom of the league. The same offense was ranked 8th in 2023, ranked 8th in 2024. Did it a little bit differently. Very run heavy with Saquon, a little bit more pass heavy the year before. The difference was the defense. As Nick always says, it's a complementary game. It's a lot easier to win when you have the number 1 ranked passing defense versus the number 31 ranked passing defense. That has an impact on the offense. Because if you're giving up passing yards all over the place and people are going up and down the field and scoring, well, what do you got to do? You got to answer. And they turned it over more because they had to press things. They couldn't just be comfortable and play from the lead and hand the ball off to Saquon Barkley behind the league's best offensive line. Guess what? If you're down 7 points in the fourth quarter, you can't do that. Got to try to get back in the game to win the game. It is complementary football, which the Eagles played brilliantly last year. And probably not going to be able to do it the same exact way.
Good stuff with Johnny Mack here in hour number 1 of Birds 365. Joe Krause in for Zander Krause. Hour number 1 of the 2-hour show. Eagles back to work today for the 57-minute practice, all in preparation for Wednesday and Thursday, which will be the joint practice with the Cleveland Browns. We'll talk about that in hour number 2. We'll pause now for just a short break and then come back and finish up our discussion here in hour number 1 on the practice habits of the Eagles today in this 57-minute abbreviated practice. You're watching Birds 365 on the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. We thank everybody for being with us. I hope I'm holding my own with the big dog, Johnny Mack, here tonight. I appreciate my a chance to get in with him, filling in for Zander Krause. We'll take a short break. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us. And when we come back on the other side, I'm going to tell you about, I'm just going to tease. I'm not allowed to actually put it out there in the show tonight, but we've got a announcement coming tomorrow. We're going to talk about that. You're going to start hearing the word green zone, and you've got a lot of good stuff coming up this football season from JAKIB Sports. So all of that, I'll tease all of that. We'll finish up this conversation in hour number 1 with the practice today. We'll get more from Johnny Mack on Birds 365. Back in a moment.
Welcome to the Jet Setters and the High Rollers, to the Shot Takers and the Tastemakers. Welcome to the Viewfinders, the Thrill Seekers, and the Night Owls. Welcome to everything you could possibly want on one 5-mile island. Welcome to the Wildwoods. Book your stay today.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We go the extra mile to lend a helping hand. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong. We've been deeply rooted in our communities for more than 85 years. And that connection to members has earned us our spot as the #1 health insurer in the region. So while you look out for your neighbors, know IBX is always looking out for you.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
Welcome to the Jet Setters and the High Rollers, to the Thrill Seekers and the Night Owls. Welcome to everything you could possibly want on one 5-mile island. Welcome to the Wildwoods. Book your stay today.
EAGLES, Eagles.
And back here on Birds 365 across the JAKIB Sports Network, Joe Krause in for Zander Krause, along with John McMullen, as we come to you on a Tuesday night. Eagles go back to work after the Monday off, following that practice in front of a capacity crowd down at Lincoln Financial Field on Sunday, and then they position themselves and get ready for joint practice with the Cleveland Browns, where Shedeur Sanders is now listed 4th on the latest depth chart. At least that's what they say. But we'll cover that conversation, and Johnny Mack will get us ready for Wednesday and Thursday of this week, which, as John already mentioned, those joint practices are certainly much longer than that 57-minute abbreviated practice today. And I would imagine, John, and we'll save this for hour number 2, but I imagine there's a lot of work that gets done and a lot of evaluation that coaches have a chance to look at in that type of a setting versus the traditional or the normal practice. I would assume anyway, but we'll get to that. What else from today's practice, John? I don't want to miss anything just because I'm not aware that it occurred. What else today from your time down at the Novacare?
Hard to miss anything. A 20-minute stretch, and then they're out there for about 35 minutes. So not a lot, as I mentioned, went on. The interesting stuff was the little bit of a sea change at safety with Drew Makuba getting back involved. The cornerback competition, Jacorian Bennett did not get any first-team reps. Had gotten some at Lincoln Financial Field, but again, much shorter practice, so much more limited from a rep standpoint. Josh Uche's been coming a little bit, got some first-team reps at right end. They were trying to cross-train Jalix Hunt on the left overhang sort of role that Nolan Smith plays. So little things like that going on as they try to continue to what you said, evaluate. But yeah, today was not a typical practice.
Anybody at the microphone at all today, John? Or no.
Yeah, a bunch of players talked. Deshaun Jackson, Michael Vick were there because they were plugging the October 30th game that's going to be at Lincoln Financial Field between Delaware State. Deshaun's coaching Delaware State, Michael Vick's coaching Norfolk State. So they're going to play at Lincoln Financial Field. They hope to make it an annual thing, an annual HB historical Black college or university. They're hoping to make it an annual thing at Lincoln Financial Field. Obviously, with Michael Vick and his history with the Eagles, Deshaun, their history together, it made a lot of sense. So hopefully fans will come out and watch that particular game, and it becomes something annual. That's what they're shooting for. But they were there. As far as players, Yeah, Sidney Brown and Drew Makuba spoke, so a little bit of a safety competition. Ty Robinson, Adoree Jackson, Keely Ringo, so some of the cornerback competition. So handful of players. Aaron Moorhead, the wide receivers coach, spoke. Which is the best group of receivers the Eagles have had in a very long time. Very long time. Obviously, they're great at the top, but I don't think people realize how good Jahan Dotson is. And then even down roster, the Eagles have had a very difficult time finding young receivers, developmental receivers, and a bunch of the undrafted rookies, most notably Darius Cooper, has really opened people's eyes. He had a drop today, though. So, I was talking to Zander on driving over this morning, and, there's a lot of hype around Darius Cooper. And I said, it's August 12th. You got to finish like from July 22nd or whatever it was to August. He made the football team, but there's a lot of time to go, and he could just as easily fall back. And today had a drop. So that's an indication of, you have to stay consistent, especially if you're undrafted. You have to be, almost better than other players to prove that you belong. So it's a long way to go for Darius Cooper, but he's been very impressive. So those were some of the people that spoke today.
I mean, John, is Dotson going to be wide receiver 3?
Oh yeah,
when the season starts.
Oh yeah, there's no competition there.
What am I missing? What am I missing? I'm not again. I'm asking the question. Okay, I'm not a football guy. I understand the game. I know the game. What am I missing? Because I've yet to see from this perspective, not yours. I haven't seen anything like, oh my God, this guy's unbelievable. What am I missing, Johnny?
Well, the Eagles don't throw the ball. That's number one. So if you're the third receiver on the Philadelphia Eagles, you're not getting a lot of traffic. So I think people conflate traffic with success and I think, if you go back to last year, came in August 16th or something, like he wasn't even here at this time last year. The trade where he was brought in from Washington. So, you have to build up that chemistry with the quarterback. You have to learn the offense, all that kind of stuff. It's not simple to just say plug and play. And as he got to late in the season, you saw it in the playoffs specifically, when the ball came his way, he made the plays because he's a good player. Whereas look at somebody like Quez Watkins in the past, when the ball came his way, which was rarely because the Eagles don't use their third receiver much, he didn't make the play. So that's, he's a role player on this team. But you saw it on the first drive in the preseason game. AJ dealing with a hamstring injury. Devontae's not playing because they're being cautious. He's the number one receiver. And Nick specifically said that first drive, which the Eagles scored a touchdown, they wanted to get Jahan Dotson the ball. They had 2 throws on that first drive, both to Jahan Dotson, both completed for 27 yards. He is the best wide receiver 3 they've had in a long time. But if you're looking for volume, you're not going to get it.
Well, what makes you the best wide receiver that the Eagles have had in a long time? Best
wide receiver 3.
Wide receiver 3. Yeah.
No, their best wide receiver is AJ Brown.
Yeah. What makes him that?
He's a good player. That part of it is they haven't had good wide receivers 3s. So they've been struggling to fill that position with any kind of competency. And have a guy who is going to make those plays when they come to him is a big change. And you saw it at the end of last season. Now he's developed more of a chemistry with Jalen Hurts. They worked out together in Houston in the offseason. Jalen trusts him now. I think you're going to see, again, a much more clean operation between the two. And, he's going to get the ball a little bit more because, again, he's here the entire offseason. But if things go to plan for the Eagles, they're not throwing it a ton. So, but when the ball comes his way, he's going to make the play, which is a dramatic shift to what the Eagles have had at that third wide receiver position.
That's Ty Robinson. We'll bring that up. I want to get Damon up here and get his super chat up. Do you think Damon Knight, thanks for the super chat. Do you think Hurts will let that play out? I assume, Damon, you're talking about the conversation with Jahan. I would imagine. Does that make sense, Johnny Mac?
Let me see.
I'm all over the goofy board. I
don't know.
Up like this on my screen. I'm moving back and forth, so bear with me.
Yeah. I don't know what Damon, you don't have to pay, just put it in the chat, but further explain. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Do you think Hurts will let that play out? Let what play out? I don't know if you're talking about Jahan or
throw that back in there if you can, Damon. So here we go. Here. Bear with me. There we go.
Talking about passing the ball instead of running the offense the way
Wait a minute. Hang on a minute. Hold on. Bear with me. Why isn't that coming up? There we go. Talking about passing the ball instead of running the offense the way they did. Thank you, Damon, for clarifying that. Johnny Mac, you say what?
No, the Eagles will do what they need to do to win the game. They've been very consistent. Nick has been very consistent with that. If they can run for 2,504 yards and 3,100 total again, they will do it. They will do it. It's likely they will not be able to do that again. And the passing game is going to have to get better. So it's not about Jalen Hurts forcing anything. He's comfortable enough in his own skin now that he has a Super Bowl. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's on a Hall of Fame trajectory. He just wants to win. And if you can run the ball and play from the lead, run the ball and play from the lead. But the odds are it's not going to be as easy as it was last season. So the passing game has to be elevated. But that will come with game to game, the personality. Jim Schwartz is coming in tomorrow. Jim was the one who told me that. Every game's got a personality. Every single one of them. If you're in the shootout, you got to win a shootout. If you're in a muck it, grind it out defensive game, you got to go win that. Every game has a personality. So it's largely dependent on the other areas of complementary football. Like if your defense isn't playing well and you're down 14-0, well, you can't just sit and hand the ball up to Saquon Barkley if you want to win the game. So a lot of it goes to what's going on that has nothing to do with the offense. You play to win the game, to use Herm Edwards. And sometimes you got to throw it. Sometimes you got to run it.
There we go. Damon Knight became a YouTube member. Very good, Damon. Thank you much, brother. Appreciate it. And I appreciate you hanging in with me working through getting your super chat up there. Welcome into the JAKIB Nation. It's an incredible nation. I'm only here tonight sitting in for Zander Krause. He'll be back tomorrow. Again, handle your business or your business will handle you. Zander off tonight, but all good. It's good business. He is not with us tonight. As we transition into hour number 2 of Birds 365 with John McMullen, the Eagles go or get ready now for a Wednesday and a Thursday joint practice, John, with Cleveland. How does that start? How does it begin? Do they separate? How does it all work? What can we expect to see when it all starts tomorrow?
Yeah, for anybody who hasn't been to an NFL practice, yeah, it always starts. They're separate to start. They're stretching. You have a stretching period, then you have individual drills before you get into the team drills. So, there's 3 fields at the NovaCare complex, sort of 3.5. And they'll split that. And the Browns will stretch themselves, obviously, work individuals with themselves. Eagles will do the same, and then they'll come together for team drills. And there's usually one-on-one periods as well, where you see those are probably the most fun for people watching practice. Very few fans get to do it, but some of their Eagles marketing partners and things like that. So there are some fans there, but we're offensive linemen, defensive front people, one-on-one pass rushing drills, linebackers, pass protection against running backs is always entertaining. And then wide receivers and defensive backs, probably the most entertaining for the average fan. To see those people go head to head. So yeah, it's just like a regular practice, except you're practicing against an opponent, which at this stage of the summer, the dog days of training camp, it's a welcome change because, AJ Dillon was talking about this the other day. It starts to get like Groundhog Day a little bit when you're practicing against each other. So it's good to have some new blood, and it always kind of picks up the energy. But no bites.
No fights, right? Right.
They've been now. Sometimes you get them. Zaire Franklin, who's a Philly kid, when Indy was here, started a little bit of a dust up with Jason Kelsey. So sometimes you do get fights, but obviously, the Eagles and the Browns have practiced a number of times in recent seasons. Browns came here, Eagles went there. Now they're back again. So Kevin Stefanski, local kid too. Ed Stefanski's son, used to be the Sixers GM, went to St. Joe's Prep. Kevin went to Penn, worked for the Eagles. That was his first job in the NFL. 2-time coach of the year now. Obviously, Jim Schwartz is coming back. Always has a good defense. So should be a good test. The Browns have some quarterback problems, to say the least, but and Zander will tell you, I say all the time, even bad teams, people think Cleveland's a bad team. Even bad teams in the NFL have a bunch of good players. So they'll be good. They'll be good tests all over the field.
One a day, John? Is it one tomorrow and one Thursday, right?
Yeah. There's no 2-a-days anymore in the NFL. That's way back. I'm old enough to remember them, but not many people are. The 2-a-days, woof. Those were some days.
There weren't 3-a-days, were there?
No. Maybe
never 3-a-days.
No.
That may have been when I played in high school. We did 3-a-days. I don't know.
Yeah, 2-a-days was brutal enough. You'd have a morning practice, afternoon practice. Now, a lot of teams, as it got older, they do the real practice in the morning and then do a glorified special teams practice in the afternoon. but those were long days, long days. And now when there's a 2-hour practice, it's like, yeah, it's like Armageddon. Practices used to be 3 hours long,
Yeah.
twice a day, basically.
Is there a winner, John? How do you win the two? How do you win the?
You don't win. Elliot will describe a winner.
How do you
Everybody,
win combined, the joint, not combined, the joint, I guess. How do you win the joint practice? And by
what do
you learn from, what do you get out of it? Do you walk away from it and say, man, Dotson looks freaking unbelievable? What do you get out of the practice tomorrow or Thursday from a coaching perspective? What do you expect to see?
Yeah, you definitely don't win practice. And like I said, our buddy Elliot will declare a winner, I'm sure. From a coaching perspective, they don't look at it that way. It's an evaluation process, an evaluation tool. And again, you're trying to get your team better. You're trying to work on the things that you're not doing well. And that's the beauty of a joint practice. You can script, like I said, you can script periods. Maybe your red zone work isn't going as well as you would like. And again, in the preseason game, well, you have to hope you're in the red zone a lot if you want to work on it, which is not easy. And in practice, you can script it and make sure you get the work you want to get in. Could be backed up. Could be 4 minute, 2 minute, hurry up. All these different types of situationals. That's what the Eagles have become, and that's what the Eagles have gotten really good at in Nick Sirianni's era. Basically, everything they do is situationally based. Excuse me. And they become a very good situational football team. And one of the reasons why is because that's all they practice, different situations. As opposed to just rolling the football out there and just working on plays. They're working specific situations. And when they come up, they're usually better prepared than most teams.
He's not new, obviously. Well, he is the new OC, but he's not new to the organization. How's Patullo? Yeah,
Kevin's great. I have no concerns about Kevin Patullo. Zero. Nothing. I think if Nick had his druthers, he probably would have been the offensive coordinator after Shane left. The Eagles were concerned they would lose Brian Johnson, and they would have. Other teams were looking to hire him. So, others wanted to elevate him, which didn't work out. And then when that didn't work out, it's kind of basically told he had to go outside the organization. And like I said, if he had his druthers, Kevin would have been the offensive coordinator after Shane left. But yeah, I mean, he's been a part of this offense since day one. Jalen Hurts is very comfortable with him. He's been around for 4 years. I wouldn't be concerned about Kevin Patullo at all.
To the point that this is probably his last year on the Philadelphia Eagles coaching staff. Seems.
Well, I mean, that's. Yeah, we talked about this a couple of years ago. I mean, that's sort of like the Eagles' mindset right now because, well, if they go win the Super Bowl again, yeah, he's going to be a head coach. And if they don't reach the expectations, he's probably going to be fired. So, that's the lot of expectations, the lot of life of expectations.
Patullo's going to be fired? They don't win it?
Hey, Brian Johnson got fired.
Yeah.
Brian Johnson got fired with the 8th ranked offense. Kellen Moore got a head coaching job with the 8th ranked offense. What's the difference? Defense sucked for one. Defense was great for the other. One got fired. One got a head coaching job.
Well, what's the answer to the same? What's the fill in the blank for this season? What's the answer if they don't win it? What is the answer? The defense sucks, or the offense didn't get it done, or who knows?
Well, the offense is going to be good. It's just a matter of how good. Defense, I think there's a lot more uncertainty on. You prefer the offense to be better than number 8. They should be better than number 8. They should be one of the best 2 or 3 offenses in the NFL. So again, those are high expectations, but they have the talent to do it. Pro Bowl players all over the place, all pro players, veterans, entrenched. Defense, a lot more uncertainty. They're counting on a lot of young people playing right away. Edge rushers remain a concern. So much more uncertainty on the defensive side. But from coaching, and by the way, if they win 11 games and lose in the first round of the playoffs, I do not think anybody should get fired. I don't think Kevin should get fired. I certainly don't think Vic should get fired. But this is a Super Bowl or bust team. So that would be considered a failed season. And the one criticism I offer to Jeffrey Lurie's one of the best owners in the NFL, arguably the best owner. I would say the best owner. But the one area where he could use work on is overreaction to not reaching expectations. There's always scapegoats around here when expectations are not met. Whether you go back to Mike Groh, some of the obviously Brian Johnson most recently, could be a position coach. There's always scapegoats.
Is the expectation of the team, not the players, of Lurie and the brass, maybe the coaching staff's in that. I don't even know if they are. Maybe they're not. Does the expectation match the fans' expectation? It must, right?
Well, no,
or bust.
I don't think they look at it the same way as the fans do. I think the fans are certainly Super Bowl or bust. I don't think they look at it that way. And when you're in it, when you're in the grinds, in the moment, you're not thinking about stuff like that. You're thinking about, the guys today are thinking about making the team, the guys on the back end of the roster, the guys, the AJs of the world and Lanes and Jordan, they're thinking about getting better. They're in the muck of the day-to-day. They're in the weeds. And then when the season starts, it's very compartmentalized. It's about Dallas week 1, Kansas City week 2, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You're very in the moment. Organizationally, it's a little bit different. They know the expectations. But for the players and coaches, they're in the weeds. So they're not thinking Super Bowl or bust. In fact, if you even mention the word Super Bowl, Nick will probably fine you or put your name on the.
Yeah, that's on the surface though. But I mean, for example,
that's how they operate. I know a lot of people. That's how they operate.
Well, let me ask you this, John. Vic Fangio, and you'll be the first in line to say that, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, so you can correct me if I'm wrong or if I'm misstating it, that the thing that you like most about Vic Fangio is that he tells you the way it is.
Yeah, well, I love Vic. Yeah, Vic is very honest. You don't have to.
Very honest.
You don't have to sugarcoat things with Vic. Others, you have to try to get them talking. But
so, what does Vic Fangio see right now as he is essentially putting together a defense with a lot of new parts, a lot of younger parts? What does he see? Does he see a fall back to the middle of the pack? I remember when Fangio was hired and the defense maybe was, I don't know, 28th or whatever it was, or I don't even remember what it was. You'll know. But the objective was if Fangio could get the defense back into the middle of the pack, if they could play at the middle level, this team's going to be a much tougher out. Well, they eclipsed that by the longest shot. What does he see now? He can't see the same picture from a year ago.
yeah, that's the beauty of coaches. I mean, they look at things differently because their job differs from year to year. Their jobs, and by the way, Vic is the best example of this because, talking to him after winning the Super Bowl. Remember, Vic Fangio has been around for 40 years. 40 years. Never won a Super Bowl. Never had a number one defense until last year. Also, now some people might say, well, he's overrated because of that. Also, the most copied defensive coordinator of his generation, most copied defensive mind of his generation. Nobody has been copied more than Vic Fangio, which tells you what his peers think of Vic Fangio and his ability to scheme and call defensive plays and everything of that nature. After he won the Super Bowl, he told a story about Dean Smith, for the old North Carolina basketball coach. For many years, didn't win, went to a bunch of Final Fours, could never get over the hump. One of the great college basketball coaches of all time. Finally did win later in his career and said, I'm the same coach I was yesterday. I just won a championship. That's how coaches, that's how great coaches think. Vic Fangio's job is to get the players he has today to a position a little bit farther than they can go on their own. So his scale is not to have the number. You can't have the number one defense every year because you don't have the talent to have the number one defense every year. You don't have the talent to win the Super Bowl every year, but you can be a great coach every year. And that's by getting the talent you do have to a position better than what they would be if you weren't there. And that's what Vic said. It's a great accomplishment, but I'm the same coach I was yesterday. And he's the same coach this year, which is probably the best defensive coordinator in the NFL. And he was that in Miami, and he was that in Denver when he was the head coach. He was that in Chicago, and he was that in San Francisco.
But
That's
what
really
does he feel, John? I mean, he knows what he has and what he doesn't have. He's a smart man.
That's why and that's why I get it from the perspective of Like, people don't believe they're in the weeds. They're in the weeds. He's trying to get Drew Makuba better. He's trying to get Drew Makuba ready to play in the NFL. He's trying to get Jahad Campbell ready to play in the NFL at a high level.
Campbell looks like he's ready to play in the NFL. Makuba, I don't know.
Well, Jahad's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of talent, but he's got a lot of work to do when it comes to technique and understanding what's going on in the defense and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I asked the question, when did you know you had a really good defense last year? And he said, I believe he said week 6 or 7. He said week 6 or 7, I thought, and he didn't even say it that way. He said, I thought we had a chance to be really good. Week 6 or 7. That's all the way, and that's probably after Cooper got on the field. That's why. Even last year, it took them that long to figure out that they had a chance to be a really good defense. But his job doesn't change from year to year. It's about, all right, what players does he have? Get those players up to their a little bit farther than they could go on their own. And that goes for all the coaches. That's their sort of mindset. You have to be incredibly optimistic to be a coach. Incredibly optimistic. Because some years you're going to have 3-win talent. What are you going to do? Commit suicide or go to work every day and try to get better?
Well, you're going to go to work. You're going to go to work every day, but you're going to go with a different perspective. You're going to go knowing, hey, I know what I have and what I don't have, or I know the strength of each individual player. I know their strength. I know their weakness. And I know what that end result equals. When you have that body of work, you certainly know that, or you certainly have the credibility to have an opinion about it. So based on that, is the defense going to be the Achilles heel to the point that no matter how good the offense is, this team just might not have enough to get it done? Or is it way too premature to even have that dialogue?
Oh yeah, it's way too premature to have that dialogue. I mean, there's no reason to think this is going to be a terrible defense, but there is reason to think it's going to be significantly downgraded from last year. But there's upside too. I mean, can Moro Jomo become the player that a lot of people think he can? Can Alex Hunt? Can Jahad Campbell? Can Drew Makuba? These are all talented players. Can they turn that talent into C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Darius Slay, Milton Williams, Josh Sweat? That's a big ask. But Vic probably made his bones and said, not probably, but that's when he sort of took over as the guy in defensive football minds around the country in San Francisco, when he had Patrick Willis, who's Hall of Famer, Navarro Bowman, tremendous linebacker, great defenses, won 13, 12 games every year. And, but this is the NFL. Then they had a down year when they were 8-8. He had to move on to Chicago. 1 year in Chicago, they won 3 games. Did Vic all of a sudden become a shitty coach? Nope. Didn't have the talent. And, when they started getting the talent, Khalil Mack, they're up to 12 wins. And then he got a head coaching job.
Think he knew it when they only won 3, Johnny Mac? Think he knew it? Maybe he didn't say it, but you think he knew it? He's a stupid.
Well, yeah, you don't have the talent you don't have the talent to compete at the highest level. Sure. The Eagles are not in that position. They're not. Like I said, they're not going to have a bottom 5 defense. But it's very hard to project them being number 1. Losing the players they've lost. I would be stunned. And then Vic should go right into the Hall of Fame if he pulls out a number 1 defense with all this young talent that really doesn't know how to play yet. Got to be taught to play NFL football.
Good stuff from Johnny Mac here on Birds 365. Still 30 minutes to go in the show. We thank everybody for being with us here tonight on Birds 365. Krause sitting in for Zander Krause and John McMullen on Birds 365. We're going to pause for a 3-minute commercial break, and then we'll come back on the other side we'll finish it up on the other side. We'll talk about the joint practice again, and then anything else John wants to cover, we'll get into a little bit of that. I thank everyone for being with us and being on the show tonight, a special edition of Birds 365 with Johnny Mac. Back in a moment.
Welcome to the Jet Setters and the High Rollers, to the Shot Takers and the Tastemakers. Welcome to the Viewfinders, the Thrill Seekers, and the Night Owls. Welcome to everything you could possibly want on one 5-mile island. Welcome to the Wildwoods. Book your stay today.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We go the extra mile to lend a helping hand. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong. We've been deeply rooted in our communities for more than 85 years. And that connection to members has earned us our spot as the #1 health insurer in the region. So while you look out for your neighbors, know IBX is always looking out for you.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
Welcome to the Jet Setters and the High Rollers, to the Thrill Seekers and the Night Owls. Welcome to everything you could possibly want on one 5-mile island. Welcome to the Wildwoods. Book your stay today.
EAGLES. Eagles.
And back here on Bird 365 across the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. Joe Krause in for Zander Krause, along with John McMullen, a Tuesday night edition of Birds 365. And I imagine there'll be a Wednesday night edition of Birds 365 and a Thursday night edition of Birds 365, which means Zander Krause will be here tomorrow morning, and then he'll be with you tomorrow and Thursday, John. Joint practices happening the next 2 days down at the NovaCare complex for the Eagles and the Browns, leading into the Saturday afternoon game. Is that right?
Yeah, thankfully. Woo! Afternoon, at least. Saturday afternoon. So we won't get locked into Lincoln Financial Field. That's a good. That's a positive.
That is a certainly a positive for you, Johnny Mac. I've got to tell you, and I've said this to Zander many times, and I've said it to a lot of people over the years. I've got to believe that the work that you put in when no one's left in the stadium
it gets eerie sometimes,
right? Yeah, and what's that like?
Well, the first thing you think about is just what I said. Am I going to get locked in? When you look around and there's very few people left, because this happens all the time, but unfortunately now. But yeah, no, yeah, it's an uneasy feeling when it drains out, I would say, when you're one of very few people left in these cavernous buildings, especially when you're on the road. Like Lincoln Financial Field, I know everything about, so it's not that big of a deal. Your home stadium, but road stadiums, yeah, that could be daunting. Sometimes you don't even know how to get out.
John,
the late great Jack McCaffrey told me a story. They commandeered a golf cart and they had to drive around the concourse. I forget, it might have been Dallas, but to try to find a door that was open to get out.
To get out of the building.
Yeah.
Some of the hype tomorrow, John, whether you want to have it or not, it's coming. Shedeur Sanders coming off of his week 1 preseason, couple of touchdowns, 14 to 23 or whatever it was. You're looking forward to that media mess around. Like here in Philly.
It's actually my buddy Ed Kratz has been the sacrificial lamb lobbing the Shedeur Sanders question at everybody Eagles related. And nobody will answer the question. Nobody cares.
What's the question he's lobbying?
What do you know about Shedeur Sanders? What do you think about that type of thing? And nobody's biting. Nobody. Vic Fangio said, I didn't do any work on him. I don't know. Yeah, that's like an outside the gates generated thing. That's not a big thing certainly in the NovaCare complex. It's a big thing for Cleveland, but it's not a big thing for the Eagles. Because again, you're not game planning, even when you get to the game, you're not game planning for specific players. Like the Browns have arguably the best player in the world on their team, legitimately, in Myles Garrett. And the Eagles know firsthand. I saw it's very few times when you see one player destroy a whole practice. I saw that a couple of years ago when Myles came here and destroyed a practice. They're not preparing for even Myles Garrett. They're not preparing for anybody on the Cleveland Browns other than they want to run their plays against somebody else and see what they look like. So,
well, they're not running them. They're not shooting darts in the dark, are they? I mean, they're not.
No, they're not shooting dart. They're not shooting dart.
I mean, if you're not preparing for Myles Garrett, does that mean the Browns aren't preparing for Jalen Carter?
No, absolutely not. They're not preparing for Jalen. They're not preparing for any Eagles. Yeah, they're not. No. You know, Vic explained this in the preseason game on the Keely Ringo play when he got beat by Jamar Chase. He said, you know, it was a 0 blitz. The Eagles played Cincinnati last year. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, etc. Vic said, guess how many times we ran 0 blitz in the actual game that counted? 0. Because of who was on the field. They're not running 0 blitz with Jamar Chase on the field. In the preseason, they're trying to look at Keely Ringo, how he handles that situation. Didn't handle it well. So we called it to see how he would handle it. He's not trying to win the game. If he's trying to win the game, he's got somebody on top of Jamar Chase at all times. You don't plan for anybody in practice or preseason games. Now, occasionally the old school, some coaches would like to replicate dress rehearsal type thing, the old school thought of, all right, we'll put together a mini game plan. We'll run 15 plays and try to replicate what you're going to do in a real game. You know, in the old days, some guys would do that. Maybe Andy or somebody like that still does it. Few guys, but most people don't. Certainly in practice, they're not trying to stop Shedeur Sanders. He's the third string, whatever he is, quarterback. When he's up, they'll try to stop the play the Browns are running in a generic fashion. Nobody's preparing for Shedeur Sanders. Like I said, they're not even preparing for Myles Garrett, although maybe they should from that perspective.
Let me get a super chat up here from, let me see if I can figure out how to do it. Hang on here, David. Let me get you up here. Let me figure it out. Here we go. Damon Knight, again, checking in. $10 super chat. Damon, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. JAKIB is the best Eagles coverage there is from the asshole cells in a good way to Johnny Mack, the best reporter in Eagles history, and Big Z, a diehard Eagles fan. Keep up the great work. Fly, Eagles, fly. I like it. I love it, Damon. Thank you much, man. I appreciate it. Right, Johnny Mack? That's good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I like my description better than Sills', so I appreciate it.
Johnny Mack, I have been saying for the longest time to anyone that would ever listen that, and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass, that you are the best beat reporter or columnist in this city. And I think I say that from a perspective of how you report what you see. And based on what you see, gives the fans and gives everyone here on JAKIB Sports a real inside knowledge of the game. So well done by you. I think it's, I don't get an opportunity very often to call that out, but I might as well do it. I only have 18 minutes left in the history of hosting Birds 365.
I appreciate that. I my goal, My goal, well, there's two goals. One, when it comes to reporting, our goal should be, and I think it's changed over the years, and it has. I don't think it has. Um, One, it's to get access, so you got to get access. But when you have access, it's use that access to ask questions and get information. That's why you're there. You're not there to make grandiose judgments or grandiose hot takes. The experts on the Philadelphia Eagles are Nick Sirianni and Vic Fangio and Howie Roseman. And, Jim Schwartz is coming in. Nobody's taught me more about defensive football than Jim Schwartz. Nobody. So they're the experts. And being around them, you get to learn a lot about the game. I've gotten to watch film with different personnel people and things like that. So I try to impart that knowledge to the fans the best I can. Some people like it, some people don't like it, but a lot of people, Zander does his best job to push me towards the hot takes sometimes, but it's not me. And believe me, I know it's easier to be just a hot take person, but I think, my whole goal, I always say, is elevate the conversation. Because I think sports radio in Philadelphia is a disaster area. So I think people that watch this show are better educated about the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's my goal.
Well, you get a hell yeah facts. Well done, John. You are the best. Anwan Atkins checking in. Anwan, appreciate that very much, and appreciate you being part of JAKIB Nation here on the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. It's a Tuesday night edition of Birds 365. Again, sitting in for Zander Krause. I'm Joe Krause. Wednesday night and Thursday night, 2-hour Birds 365. Zander will be back in the chair, pushing John to as close to the hot take as he can get him. I still feel as though tomorrow, when Shador's on the field and Myles Garrett is there and somebody wants to ask him about driving 100 miles an hour again or whatever it was, and all the hype that comes with the personality. Forget about the play on the field. Shedeur Sanders is a hype machine. Where he goes, people are going to be. If he's addressing the media tomorrow on the field, you're going to be there if you have access to Shedeur Sanders. You're going to want to hear what he has to say. So I think that is going to be part, perhaps, of what will be a little bit different over the next couple of days. I felt that it was different in their first preseason game with him on the field, a fourth string, third string quarterback, whatever it was. Flacco's not dressed. He's starting. He's playing. First, he's in the first half. Oh, he's done. Nope. We're going to keep him in. He's going to play in the third quarter. It comes with a tremendous amount of hype, and then the national media ran with it for the whole week, based on his play in the opening preseason game. I think there's going to be some of that tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't think so, only because I can't imagine that, he's a third or fourth string quarterback. In typical, there's a level of, you only bring certain guys out to talk. Practice is about more of the first string and the second string quarterback, which in Cleveland is a bad situation, but Joe Flacco will probably talk because it's a big practice. Kenny Pickett, I don't know if he's healthy enough, but he would talk potentially, especially coming from Philadelphia. I don't think they're bringing out the fourth string quarterback to talk. Now, in the game, he's going to play a lot, and that's where people can get him. But nobody's bringing out the fourth string quarterback to talk at a joint practice. Yeah.
John, I'm looking for him tomorrow. I'm looking for Shedeur Sanders sound bites tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see it.
All
I
right.
don't think you're going to see it unless you're going to see it on Saturday. And I don't, I don't know how Cleveland runs their operation. I don't know if they rotate it, but generally, if you're going to have joint practices, obviously the head coach, coordinators are going to talk, and some of the key players, the starters, the stars, like the Eagles will probably roll out the Lanes and the Saquons and the Jordan Mailatas, and AJ's not healthy. Players like that, you're not rolling out Dorian Thompson-Robinson or Kyle McCord, which is the equivalent from a depth chart perspective. And Dorian comes from Cleveland. And, Dorian's not going to be on the podium.
Well,
Yeah.
To your point, the joint practices tomorrow and Thursday are when the first and second teams.
Well, yeah, that's the guys who are going to, that's the guys.
Work. You're not going to see them on Saturday. You're not going to see them on Saturday afternoon. They're going to get their work the next 2 days.
Yeah, that's why they're going to talk. Those are the guys who are going to talk. And the game, the game's different. Shedeur's going to play a lot in the game, so he'll probably talk, and you'll probably see some of that.
One more super chat from Damon Knight again. Johnny Mack or president? Exclamation, 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 exclamation. Well done by Damon Knight here. A couple last things for us before we run out of time here on a Tuesday night. Who else, John, from that Eagles first or second team will we see tomorrow, or will we expect tomorrow to do well? Quinyon Mitchell, perhaps?
Quinyon's having a great summer. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I think the Eagles defense is you're going to see a lot of positive coverage of the Eagles defense, because I think the Cleveland offense is a work in progress, to be kind. So I think, if they don't play well, then it's time to worry a little bit, because this is not obviously a powerful offensive team right now. And again, Joe Flacco is likely going to be the week 1 starter. Kenny Pickett's listed as questionable right now, so who knows if he's going to practice. Dylan Gabriel's their third string quarterback. Shedeur's number 4 right now. So
are they carrying 4 quarterbacks into the season?
No, I don't think so. Kenny, I think Kenny's in danger of being released, especially if he doesn't get healthy. But they're going to keep. I think they're going to keep Shedeur, but yeah, he's not going to be relevant that much on Wednesday and Thursday. He's not going to get a lot of reps. It's usually in joint practices, there's usually no third team reps. It's all first and second team. But he's going to play a ton in the game on Saturday. So if people want to see him, Saturday's the day. He's not going to get much action. Unless Kenny doesn't practice and they split second team reps with Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. He might get a few reps that way. But if Kenny's ready to go, you're not going to see him at all.
About this, Johnny Mac, from Brian Fleming. Brian, love it, man. Papa Krause, your Kango game is light years beyond Xander's. Here's the best part, Johnny Mac. I ate some mushrooms just to fully experience.
Just to fully experience. By the way, here was Ed Kratz trying to get something from Vic Fangio on Shedeur Sanders. I looked it up. The question was, you mentioned the Browns coming, Cleveland Browns, Shedeur Sanders, quarterback. What do you know about him? Did you study him at all coming into the draft? Vic's answer, no, I don't know nothing about him. That was it. Bang. It.
On next.
Yes. And
Well,
I specifically warned Ed. I said, before he told me he was going to ask about it, I said, Vic will not answer that question. I guarantee you. He did not answer that question. I'm sure he does know. I'm sure he does know who Shedeur Sanders is, but he doesn't want to be bothered with it.
How about offensively, John? Let's finish up tonight's edition of Birds 365 with expectations in the joint practice from the first team offense of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I think it's a good test because the Eagles, have trouble with Myles Garrett, as everybody does. Mason Graham's a top 5 pick. Malik Collins is a good player. Shelby Harris. They got a lot of talent on the defensive front. They lost their linebacker. The best linebackers out for the season. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is a very good player. Carson Schlesinger was the 33rd pick in the draft. He's going to be a rookie starter. Their secondary is pretty good. Denzel Ward's been around for a long time. Grant Delpit's a good player. Ronnie Hickman, Greg Newsome is banged up, but we'll see if he can play. That should be a good test for the offense. It's a pretty talented group, and Jim's remains one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. So Cleveland usually is pretty good on defense.
Birds 365 on a Tuesday night. Let me just scan real quick, Johnny Mac, see if there's anything that I wanted to ask you about. Saquon, you expect anything out of Barkley over the next 2 days that will be different? By the way, what I'm excited about is the utilization of Dillon. I'm very excited about how he's going to fit and be used in this offense. Now, perhaps that's overblown, but I'm super excited about what he's going to mean to this offense. I think they're going to use him a lot.
I think they're going to use Saquon a lot.
Well, I think they are, but they're not going to use him every play.
Yeah, I if anything, I've been surprised how much work Saquon has gotten over the summer. I'm very surprised by it, to be honest. I would have put him in bubble wrap. I think AJ Dillon. Still the third running back, still behind Will Shipley. I think that's where he's going to stay. I think they're going to have a more layered backup situation, and by that I mean on a regular game day, if Saquon is available, I think Will Shipley's going to be the changeup. I think there's a better sort of dichotomy between those two players. He's a good receiver, Will Shipley. Needs to improve his pass protection. I think that's the biggest thing with him. He's a very good receiver. So we'll see if the Eagles can utilize that on third downs and such. If Saquon is hurt or sprains an ankle, then I think that's where the layers sit. Then I think AJ Dillon pops over Will Shipley, and he's the guy who's got to carry it 20 times if they don't have Saquon Barkley, if that makes sense. So I think if Saquon's ready to go, it's Saquon and Will Shipley. I think if Saquon has a sprained ankle, it's AJ Dillon and Will Shipley.
And Dillon's going to get Shipley's not going to get the football 20 times in the game.
No. Yeah, that's why I say it's layered. Will's going to be the backup no matter who the starter is.
Right.
Yeah.
Birds 365 on a Tuesday. A couple of minutes left, Johnny Mac. What's your last thoughts tonight before we get ready for the joint practice. You can go anywhere you want. I saw the Eagles made a roster move. We didn't talk about that today. That may have been yesterday's news, though, in terms of they've signed a defensive tackle.
Well, Charlie, that was about Charlie Hewlett, who's their long snapper. He had a little bit of a neck injury and had to miss a few practices. So obviously they had to bring in another long snapper, Christian Johnstone. And Charlie is back healthy. So they waived Christian Johnstone and signed Justin Rogers, who's big dude, 6'3", about 340 pounds, played at Auburn and in college. The Eagles have been looking for a backup nose tackle for years. It's very difficult to find 330-pound guys who can move like Jordan Davis. So they haven't been able to find it, and they usually, they'll let last year Thomas Booker, this year it might be Ty Robinson, undersized guys play a little bit of nose or shade here and there. But they'd love to find that type of player, but it's easier said than done because most 340-pound guys play like they're 340 pounds. And you lose too much when it comes to lateral mobility and things like that. So very difficult position. And the Eagles take 3 or 4 shots at it every year. And Justin Rogers is one of those shots at it.
We'll see what happens there. All right, Johnny Mac, schedule tomorrow again real quick. For the next 2 days, you will not be, or Birds 365 will be live tomorrow night with Zander and Johnny Mac. That's at 6 to 8 tomorrow, all day on the channel, by the way, tomorrow. Perhaps even starting with Zander time in the morning. We will be making a pretty cool announcement tomorrow, so look for that. We've got a dynamite new partner to introduce. I've got a great outline to talk about all of that. So you'll see me popping up randomly tomorrow. I don't think you'll see me back on here from on Birds 365 anytime soon. Although, Johnny Mac, I will go for this one more time. Let me see if I can find this. Hold on real quick before we get out of here. Yeah, here it is. One more time. I'll leave this up for Zander to take a look at when he is cutting up the show a little bit. Well done, Brian. I promise you'll need more shrooms next time I'm on. I'll have a new Kango that you will like. But again, Johnny, tomorrow and Thursday, what's the time frame down at NovaCare? You're there early, and then what's it look like?
Yeah, practice starts at 10 both days. The Browns, Kevin Patullo scheduled to talk tomorrow, was scheduled to be at 9:40. It's going to be a little bit earlier, closer to 9:10, 9:05, 9:10, because the Browns are in. They have some coaches meetings, so it shifts everything around. But but practice, the more important part for fans, that starts at 10 each morning. And yeah, Myles Garrett, David Njoku, always love seeing those two particular players. They're bus guys, I always say. Those are the guys you let walk off the bus first and intimidate everybody because they're so physically impressive. Those are the Browns bus guys.
Keep Myles Garrett on the bus and keep him out of his sports car, will you?
I didn't even hear Myles got in trouble for that.
Yeah, I think he was driving in an accelerated rate. Again, I get it, the power or the ability to have a fast car, but
yeah, I missed it. I get by. Yeah, he was going 160 miles. Who knows? Maybe I hope he'll show up tomorrow. Who knows? But
yeah. All right, good stuff tonight, Johnny Mac. Thanks to everyone for being a part of Birds 365 on this Tuesday night. Don't forget to like on your way out of the show tonight. On behalf of everyone here, of course, and of course on behalf of Johnny Mac, I'm Joe Krause. See you next time, everyone. If I can get this Johnny Mac. I knew I was going to screw it up. Hang on. There we go. I got it, brother. See you next time.
Welcome to the Jet Setters and the High Rollers, to the Shot Takers and the Tastemakers. Welcome to the Viewfinders, the Thrill Seekers, and the Night Owls. Welcome to everything you could possibly want on one 5-mile island. Welcome to the Wildwoods. Book your stay today.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We go the extra mile to lend a helping hand. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong. We've been deeply rooted in our communities for more than 85 years. And that connection to members has earned us our spot as the #1 health insurer in the region. So while you look out for your neighbors, know IBX is always looking out for you.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
Welcome to the Jet Setters and the High Rollers, to the Thrill Seekers and the Night Owls. Welcome to everything you could possibly want on one 5-mile island. Welcome to the Wildwoods. Book your stay today.
EAGLES. Eagles.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate, inside the locker room, and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.